So the first vine I want to talk about is this Mandevilla. This is a sun parasol variety from Proven Winners, the apricot color. Happened to be my favorite color, and also the benefit for me is it only gets 8 feet high. Some of the other colors go 10 to 15. I just don't have the vertical space to do that. So you can see I manufactured my own vertical space here. I bought the cedar trellis there, and I bungeed it to those two beams that are holding up my landing. And then the planter goes right underneath it, and then you train it on up. One thing to keep in mind then for the particular vine you're growing, it's not all the same, obviously. And you see that thing kind of waves back and forth in its growth. It's not one of those that kind of wrap around something really tight. So if I put like a 1-inch grid trellis, it probably wouldn't even have taken to it, not naturally. Or I might have had to tie it to it, but so that particular spacing works perfect for that vine. Now we're going to go live for a second. These last 2 years I have not used this trellis. I actually want to have 2 of those vines. Okay, so this is going to go right here. So those are on their way, about 2 weeks out, maybe 3 weeks at the most. So we'll move to, this is about midsummer's growth. You can see the really nice looking blooms, and I was very happy with it. And this is late summer, and you can see really big clumps there. I'm loving it. Can't wait to have 2 of them. So this is just a close-up, and you can see the real apricot. So one of my favorites. Now we're moving to what wasn't one of my favorites. This is an Ipomea, Morning Glory kind of thing, but it's much bigger than the hybridized versions you buy. You can see my makeshift, it's not really chicken wire. That's fence to keep bunnies and stuff out of your garden that I stiffened up with stakes. But this thing was not the 6 to 8 feet they said it would be. It's like 30, 40, even 50 feet. Tendrils all over the place. I mean, the blooms are really cool. So that's the outside looking in. That's inside looking out. But I will never grow this thing again. If this was smothered with blooms, I might. But so I tried this Clematis here. I wanted it to grow along the fence. It's called Sarah Elizabeth. The promise was part sun, 6 to 8 feet, and reblooming. Well, after it blooms, it looks pretty crummy, and it basically didn't rebloom. So if anybody knows of one that actually really does that, please let me know. I'll try this again. But after the 3rd season, I said, nope. I want something that looks a lot better than this, so I gave up on that. The Moonvine. See, I had planted that right here. Okay, just in this little area right here. And all you have to do is, once it gets, about this high, I had to train it to get to here, right? So I think I had a stake in there with the twine, tied to here. It takes nothing. Once they get grip onto that, it just went. And once they're here, then I just had to train that onto the twine the rest of the way up. So this is truly the do-it-yourself trellis, about as basic and backwoods as you can get, but it completely effective for a vine like this. And I was plenty happy with the way it looked. The vine almost covers the stuff up completely, and that's about as low to the ground as you'll get a Moonvine bloom. So that's the same vine, but I use a whole bunch of lines kind of fanned out from that railing all the way up to the railing on the landing. And then that still wasn't enough. You need to be 25 feet, which I still didn't get to. But I used that pole, which is a birdhouse pole used for purple martin, condominium birdhouse things, which I actually never use. But I tie wrapped that pole to the railing, and then I had that twine dangling down. So I basically reversed fanned from where they hit the railing all the way up to the top of the pole. And it was just plain effective, and that's all I needed it to be. Here's the view at the top later in the season, and you can see that's still not high enough. But the blooms themselves, of course, are spectacular. You just don't get to enjoy them much more than an hour or so unless you decide to stay up at night and watch them in the evening. They're gone in the morning. Here you see about 7 blooms, all at the same stage of opening. They open very quickly. They smell pretty sweet, and you can see the stem of the blooms actually like 6+ inches from the vine itself. And then the spectacular bloom opens from there, almost pure white, but there's kind of a star shape you'll see in a close-up here. There you go. And you can see it's dusk. I don't think I'll be growing these again. It was a lot of work. If the blooms stayed there the whole next morning, that would be one thing. But anyway, there's my capsule. So far, the flowering vines have grown. Hopefully, I'll grow other varieties very soon.